Welcome back. You're tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso, only on SABC3. Now, the Milan Furniture Fair is one of the most popular trade shows in the world, forming part of the Greater Milan Design Week. Now, Aidan and Jenine Bruce attended the event in Italy last week and joining us this morning to reveal the highlights of this prestigious design week and trends South Africans can look out for. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure it was an incredible experience.
Absolutely wonderful. I mean, the show itself had 350,000 visitors in the week go through it. Milan itself puts on a massive show for everyone outside the main event. So really wonderful to go and a privilege to have been there.
And just being in the city itself, it must have been magical as well. And let's talk about some of those design trends that you saw coming out of the Milan Furniture Fair, specifically relating to our South African audiences.
Very, very exciting to come back and see from Milan, to see that there's a lot of woven product, a lot of recycled product coming through. What I would consider a structure with a woven infill. You can see there on the screen the ability to put a sort of a cage around something and then put woven material into it. And it's something that I think we can use here in our local crafts and produce very similar products.
Yeah. So you do think that, I mean, this is directly, we do have the skilled people, we do have the resources to actually take on these trends and apply it in our own homes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a low machinery content kind of production line, so you're not needing very expensive factories to produce the product that we saw there. And I think with the correct curatorship, any craft community could get together and produce some world-class designs.
Absolutely. Jenine, what were some of your experiences as well? Some of your highlights, some of the things that you think South Africans can draw inspiration from?
The handmade products are great. So there's a lot of timber, and a lot of routering into the timber, so the detail, beautiful wall paneling and screens. Ceramics is huge. A lot of beautiful lighting, and then paper was a big one for me. Yeah, so the one that stood out for me was a wall block that a bunch of Canadians made, and they realized the amount of paper that was just not being reused, and they created these wall blocks, which are as hard as board and as light as cork, and it can be printed, painted, bleached, whatever you need to do to them. And they also have an acoustic value, so they absorb sound. So to put that in an office interior is beautiful, and you can create, there's an image that should come up, that it's a beautiful feature and so easy to use and install.
Aidan, taking a look at what you've seen at the Furniture Fair and how we do things in South Africa, I mean, how do we stack up in terms of, these trends? Because we saw wood, we saw woven things, we saw metal work as well. How do we stack up to the rest of the world?
I think South Africa's always been on the leading edge of the entrepreneurial design world. We push boundaries, we are resourceful. Often we don't have the industry, the big industry attached to production houses in Europe or in China. So we've had to learn to use our own hands to make things. And I see a lot of that trend now coming through where we can produce world-class product. Very exciting. Very excited to see this come, the opportunities that we can bring to South Africa.
That's it. And Jenine, I know we are a creative nation as well. For people wanting to really, take on maybe this kind of design trends that you've seen, I mean, what would be your advice to them? How would they go about it? Maybe even to our local crafters?
Well, it's taking basic materials, it's taking timber, and it's routering in a beautiful pattern, and it's easy, and it creates like a design masterpiece, and to take paper, and there's a structure that we saw that was made from vulcanized paper, and it's just a method of taking simple products and using them in a different way. So it's easy and it's creative, and the result is amazing. All
right. And some of the things that you think stood out for you specifically that South Africans could apply to their own decor in their own homes as well.
From a color point of view, there's a lot of mustard and a lot of kind of what I'd call colors in shadow. There's any color with a grey tint attached to it was very, very prominent. Hand-woven rugs have come back in a big way. There were some launches. Moi is a sort of a international brand, and they did a launch of some really beautiful rugs. I think a lot of overlaying of fabrics on top of existing sofas So throws and woven materials, definitely something we can start to layer onto the top of our existing interiors.
Perfect. Aidan and Jenine, thank you so much for joining us this morning, helping South Africans keeping on trend with the latest fashions out there. Well, we really hope that this inspired all of our South African designers and craftsmen to taking inspiration, drawing elements or creativity from these design elements and trends to really make it our own, because we do have the resources, we do have the creativity, and we certainly do have the skilled people as well. But stay tuned, because in the next half an hour we will be looking at a very exciting venture that's taking African creativity and designer fashion online. Make sure you do not miss that. Right now, though, it is that time of the morning. Let's get your news headlines.